Alright guys, welcome back. Once again, I'm sitting here with Soumya. Soumya, first of all, welcome to our channel.
Thank you.
This is a topic which a lot of times we have skipped successfully, choose to not talk about, which is the diversity. At the workforce, at every industry you talk about, especially the industry where she comes from, she has some solid points which we are here to discuss with you guys while we are giving you information about her journey, how she came from India all the way to Germany. Soumya, why don't we start with a quick introduction of who this person is, and so that people can relate to you, you know?
My name is Soumya, and I work as an Android engineer in a startup in Berlin. I did my bachelor's in electronics and communication, and I started my career at TCS, as most of us do, which actually made me start software development. Until then, I was more of an electronics engineer and into circuits, etc. But that's when I seriously started learning programming. I worked for a project which was by Citibank North America, and it had around 200 people with a really one of the oldest softwares.
Before you flying to Germany, you already worked there for 3 years?
Yeah, actually much more. I worked initially for 3 years in TCS. That's when I realized that that was not my kind of job. And that's when I quit, went back to my hometown Bangalore, because until then I was in Bombay.
Okay.
I went to Bangalore, I started ideating. By then I already had interest in smartphones, and I already started looking into how to solve some problems in smartphones. So Android being open source really attracted me. And that's when I got into learning Android, because it was really easy to Google it and find it online and just start picking up.
So total of how many years of experience you had before you came to Germany?
Until now it's 10 years. So I would say before that I also was taking breaks to actually look what I'm interested in. So I would say five years.
5 years,
yeah, before coming to Germany, 5 years. But in Android I had less than 2 years of experience.
Right. Let's go a bit further now from this story. Thanks a lot for that introduction. People are also watching this to know your journey from India all the way to Germany. First of all, it is important for me to address before we go any further from here on, is I haven't dwelled into off camera to know like her journey and all that. So everything is so natural, whatever she's going to talk about. So yeah, tell me, how did you approach for the job, or who approached you for the job, and how did you land up here in Germany?
Yeah, it's a funny story actually.
Okay.
At some point I started realizing I wanted something else, not from the job which I was at currently. Back in 2015, I realized that, probably there are opportunities to go somewhere else, not just India, somewhere else like Malaysia, Singapore, Amsterdam, I don't know. And apparently I was just floating my resume to any random LinkedIn profiles I saw and found interesting. So as also booking.com, for instance, and then that's when one of those startups, which was in 12 countries then, based in Berlin, contacted me, but I had no idea it was based in Berlin or it was a German-based startup.
So they contacted you?
They contacted me. I didn't contact them.
Okay.
And they said, your LinkedIn profile looks good. We want to hire you, and we are opening up to global culture, and you don't need German. That was most important because I did not even think Germany could be an option, because I was always thinking I need German to come here. So they just told me it's very diverse. Its IT team is full of people from all over the world. That's when I actually started to think seriously, and I didn't even have any thoughts of moving then. I just gave the interview, and I was just going with the flow, and it happened that they wanted me to come here, and they offered me relocation, and then I thought it was a quite lucrative offer to move for.
Right. Soumya has been living here for quite some time now. How long it's been now?
It's going to be 4 years.
4 years now, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you still with the same company, or you have already switched? I know. Okay, tell me more.
Yeah. So no, not with the same company.
Okay.
I actually struggled when I moved here, honestly, with initially, and also the company after 6 months wanted to let me go. So, and after that also many people were also, let go of, but that's a different thing. So, yeah, and then I had to move on, find another job, and it's a process.
Right, I'm sure, yeah. Soumya, what I would like to know further now is what were the issues you think you faced while working in India, now working in Germany, being a woman in the workforce?
General issues, not just women, but most people face also, like as an employee, was kind of no strict working hours. Managers not approving holidays or, saying you have to be here. This was a big issue for me before. And also I was scared, to ask for holidays, my own holidays, which I think is very open and nice and, in Germany right now. But I also think there were some serious issues as a woman, which I found kind of a trend in many companies I worked for, because in 10 years of my experience, I've worked for quite a lot of companies. I've also founded my own company. So I can tell you easily that when it comes to opportunities, definitely the glass ceiling effect exists, which is quite well known everywhere globally, but I don't want to speak for it. But because I faced it, I would have loved to change that, and I would love to move to a place which was more equal and was more open and had more benefits.
Right. Can you give me an example when you say glass ceiling effect? Many people wouldn't know about what is glass ceiling effect you're talking about, but I want to hear from you and backing up with an example or your personal experience.
So mostly it's very common, I think, in multinational companies where there's a lot of hierarchy and where you find that people giving you reasons saying, oh, somebody a man got married, has a kid, and has to have more precedence over you for promotions or for going on site or overseas opportunities. It's very common, and they have certain levels of appraisal, and which managers can actually put employees under. Even with the best working employees, women I know who are very good at their jobs, one of the top quality cream of the workforce, who are still left behind at those desks for years, who cannot fight for themselves or who don't speak up and ask for what actually they deserve. I think this is a big problem where you have this ladder during your career, you see this, you want to get to some place, but you see that the personal growth is not happening. That's when women leave. That's when people move away, find different jobs, different projects.
Right. Wouldn't that be applicable for any guy also if he doesn't see a growth or if he doesn't feel appreciated in the environment? Don't you think so?
Yeah, it's for everybody. But the glass ceiling effect is specifically for equal opportunities, for people who deserve it, for people who are qualified, who are doing better, and nobody should be biased. And this bias that exists because of societies which puts man as the breadwinner of the families makes them get more points for some job which is equally shared by everyone, any gender. So
right. See, topics like this, I strongly feel that all of us have our opinions on this. I'm sure there'll be someone sitting on the other side can counter your question or counter you with a question or with his opinion, like no, but I think like that way. But it is something which is a social issue which we all have to come together and create solutions for it, not just talk about problems.
That's totally true. Actually, I agree with you 100% because these are my experiences based on solely my experiences, but they exist. This is my point, that you might not see it because you don't go through these problems, you don't go through these experiences, and which is why you can't speak for it.
And there are thousands of stories, I totally understand that, and this is why we are having this discussion, that to bring up this point out, irrespective of border or location where we are, these issues exist in companies somewhere deep down, and system is designed in a way that nobody wants to talk about it and nobody wants to come up with a consensus of that this is also an issue for a lot of people. See, I think we can keep on talking about it. This is something which is an issue which has every country has faced, and I feel that even in Germany, just to give you an example, there's a good amount of gender gap in terms of payment to men versus women. So, see, this is a topic probably for another time, but let's go further. You're in Germany now. What issues do you face here also? Because again, no country is perfect, okay, on this planet.
When I moved to Berlin, the biggest problem I faced is that there was not enough content with regard to integration. So even if there was content, then it was, of course, in German, but still the content was very limited for Indian people moving here. So I had no idea what I should expect out of the job or the culture. I just tried to learn online as much as possible, but working is really different, right? It's not the same. So I think that's one of the biggest problem I faced. And I think also every culture solves problems differently, and every culture has different way of working, different way of work ethics, etc. I think that was also like not clear when I came here, and I couldn't look up somewhere where these things could be more clear, I feel. And the biggest problem I faced is that there were so few women in IT. Like when I moved, I think 6 people out of like 7 developers we were. I was the only woman, and of course they wanted to bring more diversity, and that's why they hired me. But I also feel like 4 years ago, this was the time 4 years ago. So now things are getting better, definitely, and people are bringing more diverse work culture and environments.
What is your personal solution which you would like to pass it on? Because tomorrow you're going to be a manager, right? What solutions do you want to bring in to change the system?
I can think of few points which I thought could have been improved or which I expected. The most important point is that the lack of gender diversity, which could be improved, because gender diversity is an important topic when it comes to work environment, and imagine missing out on 50% of the workforce, which could be really beneficial when it comes to problem solving, especially in an engineering or IT field. Second is education. So I think at some point it's important to, when people are coming from different backgrounds, to educate and have everybody on the common grounds or on the same page as to what the company's values are, what you expect out of professionals, and how you treat each other, for instance, behavioral sciences, basically, emotional intelligence, things like that, which is quite not obvious or even taught in colleges or,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a focus. Another thing which I think is important is to having a forum or a channel where people can provide feedback, can talk about the problems they face, and somebody is there to hear them.
Yeah.
Somebody acknowledges that and tries to find a solution for this. This is why also people stay and are happier when they feel like the colleagues are listening to them and they have something to say. Lastly, but not least, is that to create an environment which has good work-life balance, which is more encourages more openness, where people can speak up their mind. And I think ultimately everybody wants to be happy and have fun at work.